fellow Star Wars fans, it's Star Up here. Welcome to my spoiler-filled review for The Mandalorian Season 1, Episode 1, titled Chapter 1. Again, this will be spoiler-filled. You have been warned. I'm going to go deep into the spoilers, and I will be doing so on every subsequent review for The Mandalorian. I will be doing this every single week, so make sure you are subscribed so you never miss my thoughts on an episode. With that being said, this is huge. This is a monumentous occasion, right? We have the first ever live-action Star Wars series. George Lucas originally had the idea for a Star Wars series, I think going back to 2005 or something like that, and there's no way he could really make them. Back then, they didn't have the technology. There was no way you could put something to this caliber that we got today on TV back then, but thanks to Disney Plus, there are so many more avenues that we can get content like that out to us, and to see this on a weekly basis for 8 weeks or 7 weeks is going to be absolutely insane. So initial thoughts are, I felt after watching this episode the same way I felt watching Rogue One, which is one of my favorite Star Wars movies of all time. As of recent memory, the reaction was just, I'm overwhelmed. Like, I cannot believe that they actually went through and made something like this. The planets, the characters, the action, the lore bits, all of that. Like, Jon Favreau was not kidding at Celebration saying this is for the hardcore fans. I mean, it's not just for the hardcore fans. I feel like I could show this to anybody and they would really enjoy it, because these are all brand new characters, brand new locations. You could start at ground zero not knowing anything about Star Wars and being okay with all the little details and little Easter eggs thrown in there. Let's just talk about this overall episode. We see the Mandalorian, he's introduced. We see how bounty hunting is 5 years after the events of Return of the Jedi. So remember, the Empire has fallen. There is no official government out in the Outer Rim where they currently are. Remember, the New Republic is in the core worlds, but they haven't branched out quite yet because it's a very large galaxy. So there are lots of outlaws, lots of criminal activity, and bounty hunters are very prevalent in these areas of space. So we see the Mandalorian doing what he does best, doing bounty hunting, and he comes across this very exclusive bounty given to him by, it looks like, the Imperial Remnant. And from there, he goes and he finds this alien, and we'll talk about that at the end of this review. I want to get through the first initial thoughts because I have a lot to say about that. So let's talk about Pedro Pascal. He is our lead character, our protagonist as the Mandalorian. He does not have a name yet, but he is part of a larger tribe of Mandalorians. We learned from this Imperial character that gives him the bounty that, you know, most of them have been purged, it seems like. The Empire has won on Mandalore. There's a lot of connections to Rebels in the Clone Wars because, hey, Dave Filoni directed this episode, and he's very much a part of the creation of The Mandalorian. So we learned so much about The Mandalorian. He doesn't ever take his helmet off in this entire episode. It's, you know, I don't even know if he's ever going to take his helmet off in the entire first season. But we learned so much through the body language of him, just kind of like how Adam Driver plays Kylo Ren in a majority of the first part of The Force Awakens. We see Pedro Pascal really come into his own with this character of the Mandalorian. He does not say a whole lot, but what he does say is impactful. How he behaves with these other characters is very stern. He doesn't really have a lot of humor, but the situations he is put in, especially at the end with IG-11, he had a little bit more to say, and I really liked their kind of partnership. I hope that it doesn't end right where it did at the end of the episode with IG-11 shot dead. At least I don't think he's dead yet. But yeah, I definitely started to, by the end of this episode, really come to enjoy the character of the Mandalorian. And I cannot wait to see how he evolves over this entire season. We get a great look at bounty hunting, right? So we haven't ever seen this closely in Star Wars before, other than a few games or things in Legends. But seeing how they adopted Darth Vader's tactic for using carbonization on characters like Han Solo, and see how that's like more widespread 5 years after the events of Return of the Jedi, really speaks volumes for how Darth Vader set it a trend. And it's just cool, like, getting this story, right? Every one of us, well, that's probably watching this video knows about Boba Fett, right? And while Boba Fett, at least we don't know anything about the character where he is at this point, we assume he's dead after the Sarlacc pit, we get this kind of fantasy about getting Boba Fett in a sense with the character of the Mandalorian. Not even that he's been Boba Fett, we also get IG 11, which is pretty much like IG-88. So to really see this fan fulfillment of seeing these two characters fighting at the end, the action's incredible, is just so good. Getting all these lore bits about the Mandalorians themselves and about how they They have the mythosaurs they rode on, about the Beskar armor, which is this very different dynamic. It's so cool actually getting into this area where we see the Mandalorians, the survivors of this so-called purge that we probably can figure out was because of the Empire on Mandalore, their homeworld, and they have this Beskar armor which they hold very dear to themselves, and whatever is salvaged from the Beskar they can use as the armor. So I really like that whole aspect of this episode where it was almost like he was leveling up because he was getting these bounties, cashing in the Beskar to get the armor made. So I did enjoy that. The worlds, there's already 3 worlds they go to in the very first episode of 40 minutes long. They go to 3 different worlds. The animation of I don't even know if it's animation. I think it's actually mostly model work, as we've seen from the footage at Celebration with the Razor's crest flying through space. We have such great creature effects like the Blurg, right? Those things were from the Ewok Caravan of Courage, I think, originally. Then they were showed in the Clone Wars. So, and then we have that sea monster in the beginning. Like I was amazed that we got so much of the creature stuff so early on. All these like little side characters, like the character in the beginning that is the bounty of the Mandalorian, to characters like Grief Karga, to characters like that Imperial Remnant officer. Is like so much background characters. This really feels so much like Star Wars. It's different, but it feels so much like we have things like the little communication thing from Jabba's palace. You see like a little salacious bee crab, or at least a quacking monkey lizard. There's just so much to take in here. The music by Ludwig is incredible. You have this kind of electronic feel tone. This entire episode felt like a western, like when the Mandalorian was trying to ride on the Blurg. It did remind me a lot of like the Old West, like them trying to tame like the wild horses. I can't forget to talk about Cool, whatever his name is, by Nick Nolte, this little Ugnaught character. And I don't even know what you would call it. Was that CGI? I guess it was CGI, but again, like, this production quality on this show is so good that if you got anybody off the street to watch this on their phone or something, they would say, oh, what movie is this and when is this coming out? Like, that's how great they got with the production quality of this show. It's unbelievable. I wasn't expecting humor in this as well. Like, there's a lots of bit of humor in this for something that's generally a lot darker than a lot of things we've seen in Star Wars. There's a lot of humor. There really is. And speculation about what the heck is happening at the end. Like, everybody was saying before this episode came out that there's going to be a big spoiler, right? There's going to be this big revelation for Star Wars. And I thought, oh yeah, maybe they would just confirm Boba Fett is dead to give the Mandalorian a spotlight so people would stop asking about where's Boba Fett every time they turn on an episode of this. No, they go to the complete other side of what nobody would ever think of, and that is maybe the offspring of Yoda? Like, what the hell, man? The offspring of Yoda? Like, how is this even a thing? Like, it's slow process of growing, right? 50 years, so that would take us, before the events of the Phantom Menace, like 20 years or something like that. Like, what is going on? Like, there's a bounty for this Yoda creature that's before I don't even understand. Like, the Imperial Remnant wants this thing. I'm speechless. Like, I cannot believe that this actually is going to tie in that heavy to like the Force, because Yoda is said to be the only one of his species. Well, actually, you got Yaddle, so there's a good chance this could mostly be Yoda. We don't even know Yoda's species. Are we going to get the name of it in this series? Maybe. What's the ramifications of this 50-year-old Yoda baby? Like, what's going to happen with this thing? Is this thing going to eventually be using the Force, and that's how we're going to have the Force in a Mandalorian? Because with a show like this, you figured that the Force would come in eventually. Oh, man, there's just so much to say. There's just so much to say. I'm trying to do it in a concise manner for you guys, but I think the easiest thing I can say is I am absolutely amazed. My expectations were so high, and somehow this exceeded those expectations, and I mean, they were very high. Like, oh man, there's so much potential for this series. We haven't even met Cara Dune yet. We haven't even met Moff Gideon yet. We haven't even met that Ben Burr's character yet. And there's just so much in here. All the aliens, all the planets, all the weapons. all the lore. I mean, if you guys have been on the fence about the Disney movies, I think you're probably going to like this, especially because it really is aimed at the fans for Legends. They even mentioned Life Day in this. That's crazy. So what did you guys think of The Mandalorian Episode 1? Let's talk about it all in the comment section down below. I will be reviewing every single episode of The Mandalorian going forward, so if you enjoyed my review for this very first episode, you're going to want to make sure you go ahead and subscribe to the channel and hit that notification icon so you receive notifications when my reviews go up. I also have reviews of Star Wars Resistance. We also have Jedi Fallen Order coming out this week. It's insane. So if you like Star Wars, make sure you go ahead and support the channel. That is going to do it for me, Star Raptor. Thank you so much for watching, and may the Force be with you always. Wow, I feel like this series is everything we could have hoped for like the people out there that love Legends, that love the expanding universe. Like, holy crap, this is it. Let me have one moment. Okay, let me control myself, because right there I was like, okay, this is getting a little bit emotional. Thanks for checking out the video. Please hit that thumbs up symbol. It helps me know that I'm making content that you guys enjoy. And if you enjoyed this video, I also include 2 videos down below you guys should check out. And please consider subscribing to this channel. It helps support me, and it notifies you guys of when I get new videos up on the channel. You can also contact me on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at StarRaptor.